Welcome to our xFigura overview video. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can take a simple prompt and transform it into beautiful images, videos, and 3D models. There's a lot this platform can offer, so I'm going to walk through every single step and explain my process, as well as some of the amazing functionality built right into the platform. So let's get right into it. So to get started, I'm in my demo board, and I want to walk you through all the different nodes within xFigura so you can understand how they all fit together so you're using them correctly. I'll even give you some tips and tricks. So any project starts with inputs. Inputs, this is basically either text or image. This could be a simple massing model or a reference image or a photograph. This could literally be a sentence or a paragraph that you can enhance with the text node. And we'll build this one by one and you can follow along if you like. Next up, we've got image generation. This is what takes the text and transforms it into an image. So here you can see I've got this beautiful image from my prompt here. I can expand this and you can see beautiful skyscraper. Down here, I've got something very similar where it transforms this low poly 3D model into a photorealistic rendering. So that's what image generation is for. Once you have an image that you like, you can start editing it. You can drag out an image node to start applying edits to it. Every node is going to have an input area, and this is where you can actually add text. As you can see in this prompt here, I asked it to scale down the Empire State Building, make it look further away, and create a morning scene. I'm easily doing that with the toggle right here. I can expand this for a full view, and you can see that it took this and it edited that. So that's what image editing means. And I can do this with a variety of models by checking right here. This is going to change with time and also depending on your admin settings. Some models may be locked or available to you, so your list may vary. But it's important to note that this panel offers a lot of power. This is where you can go ahead, choose your model, the amount of variations, your prompt, if you want to expand the view or not, and if you want to download or generate. You also have your settings in the top right that will ask you what the image ratio is and the resolution. So that's our image editing. The other incredible thing about image editing is there's a built-in feature called the editor. The editor literally lets you mark up an area of your drawing and lets you focus on a prompt. So here you can see I circled this man here and I asked this image node to add a couple walking the dog and make sure it's scaled down. You can see it's replaced them beautifully. And here's a little before and after. You could see I had this circle and it replaced them. So if you want, you could do a whole image edit, or you could just isolate a specific area of your photo. So keep that in mind. Now that we've talked about image editing, let's talk about stylization and exploration, because this is really what a lot of us designers and architects are using xFigura for. The idea of being able to branch off and start exploring. They could be stylistic, they could be design choices, they could be different areas of the building. So just to zoom in here, what I've got here is this is the building lobby of the building. So I'm asking Nano Banana 2, take the building that we've designed and show me the interior of it. Show me the lobby. Then this is showing me the rooftop. So again, it's taking the details of our project and it's just giving me another view. AI has gotten so good at this point that it understands what these areas should look like. Here's another view of that lobby. And here we're saying, give us a wide angle perspective and to make it a little bit more evocative. And that's where this beautiful grand staircase is coming in. We've got that wide angle. That's why it's really important to be specific with your prompts. But again, it's all related to our project over here. And you always have the choice to pull in a reference image that you can use as a style. If you've noticed, there's different wires going into an image. Yellow represents an input prompt. Input will always be text. So if you look over here, you see my little text box. This is for text. If I were to go back over here, I've got this cyan line. This is the base image. So I'm taking this image as the base and then I'm referencing it with this purple image and saying, hey, apply this purple image, reference image, on top of my input image. Okay, so that's how you work with references. Make sure you plug them into here. And you can actually plug in multiple images into here. It's not just one. So once you've locked in your style exploration, you're probably going to want to upscale the image. Okay, so upscaling is going to either double or quadruple the resolution, and the typical model is magnific for that. So if I were to just increase this and do a little before and after, look at how much sharper the details look. I'll zoom in here and look at that. So that's why you're going to want to upscale, because by default, the 1x resolution is quite low unless you bump it up to 2x or 4x. And if you ever forget to do that, well, that's where the upscale node is really, really powerful. So we've got that. And then we have video. So video is literally going to bring the image to life. So check this out. This was our building image right over here. I'm able to go and animate it. Look at this. So if you haven't realized yet, this is the power of using an all-in-one canvas. We've got access to all these different models. We've got Magnific, Nano Banana, Runway, and about like 50 other models all built in here. So I can go from a static image all the way to video like it's nothing. It's literally one output. And if you want to go even crazier, you can even generate 3D models. So I asked it to generate a 3D model of this lobby. So now let's talk about how we actually build all this. Now that we have an understanding of all the different nodes and what they can do and how incredible they are, let's talk about adding stuff to the canvas. So all we have to do is, I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm using the middle mouse wheel as a pan. And I'm going to go to my menu. There's a couple different ways to add nodes to your canvas. I can go over here to menu. I can either generate text or images or upload an image directly from here. Okay, I can use these two buttons, or I can go ahead and double click in the canvas and I can choose the same exact features. Really up to you about how comfortable you are. So if I wanted to start with a text prompt, I'd go ahead and click text. And now this is where I can start typing. So let's say I want to design a building. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my prompt in here, asking for a modern skyscraper near Central Park designed by KPF. So if I want, I can actually generate an expansion to my text. Let's say I'm not comfortable writing prompts. I can click this guy to actually expand my prompt and make it a little bit better, because the better and more articulate and more focused your prompt is, the better the output is. So it's going to go ahead and think about that. Perfect. And it's expanding my prompt. It's talking about the facade, the materiality, the lighting, the context. This is great. So now I can drag this out to my image node. And now my image node is what's going to generate the image. So I'm going to use Nano Banana 2. It's a great model. Image ratio, I'm going to click this and change it to 16:9. That's your typical horizontal. And I'm going to bump the resolution up to 2x. I also want to see several options. So I'm going to click my variation tool here and bump this up to 4. So I can get a nice grid of 4 images. It's going to render these images out in parallel. So don't worry that you're going to be waiting for 4 images at a time, one after another. It's actually doing all 4 at the same time. And I do want to point out, if you have any references as to what the design should be, that can be either an input image or an other image. So if there's a specific style of architecture, you can plug that in here. But if you're trying to improve a design of your own, that would be an input image. So now that the images have come out, I can actually go and review them. I can expand, and my 4 options live on the left here. So here I can view each, get some information about what I did, the aspect ratio, the prompt and everything. Once I'm happy with the results, I can go ahead and hit close. And let's say I want to proceed with this one. Notice how there's this purple selection window. So any additional node outside of here is going to affect that. So if I were to just do image to image, because I'm essentially editing this, let's say I want to change this to be watercolor, it's going to affect only this one image. Okay, so it's important that you click that image that you want affected. In parallel, I'm going to go ahead and upscale this. So I'm going to hit image upscale and hit generate. So there you go. We've got the watercolor version. And if you ever want to compare it to the previous generation, you just click this comparison slider and there you go. So you can see it did a great job respecting the details of the architecture, and it just added that filter. And again, if there's a specific art style that you want here, instead of explaining it with words, you can plug that in directly into the other image slots. So while this is rendering, I can drag this out and I can go ahead and generate a video. So that's image to video. Here I have the option of using Runway or C-Dance. I'm gonna say C-Dance here. I can choose if I want audio, how long it is, and the image ratio. So I'm gonna say day-night time-lapse. And I'm going to go ahead and bake that out. So now we've got our upscaled version that baked out. I can do my comparison and see how sharp it is. Yeah, look at that. Big difference. Especially in the vegetation, this is where you really notice it. See how we went from fuzzy to sharp? So that's exactly why you're going to want to do that. But you can see, it did not take me long to go from simple text to a design of a building, upscaled, and transformed into another style with a video coming out. That only took a couple minutes, right? Some additional features I do want to point out. This is a collaborative board, meaning other people can come in and help and work on your board. All you have to do is go over here and click share board. This is where you can invite people or just copy a link. Just make sure you give people the right permissions, whether or not they can edit it or just view it. You know, maybe you give it to the client to view, but you give it to a collaborator so they can edit and contribute. So that's a really nice thing. You don't have to be the only one doing this. If you want to be a little bit more organized, you have a set of drawing tools here. This is where you can actually draw. So like you can draw little sketches just like that. Boom, boom, boom. You can go ahead and erase that if you want. You can draw lines, shapes, arrows, you name it. So if I want to do a line like that, I can do that. I'm just clicking on my shapes here. I personally like having some sort of identifier to explain to a teammate like, hey, this is where I'm working on. So this is where I use frames. So frames is just like a box where you can go and actually export as a PDF or a PNG. So here I'll say like final 100% concept. And then that way my teammates know, okay, this is the board we're working on. And when it's in a good spot, we can actually go ahead and save that out. So it's ready to go. So you got a couple tools for you. You also have text. You've got a variety of different sizes and fonts all there. So I could say this is option 1. And then I can explain over here that this is style transfer and then that this is the video. Again, a little bit of text, a little bit of diagramming goes a long way when you're working on a project, just so that they can understand what you're looking at. Because if I were to zoom out, right, what really stands out is, you know, these annotations, the shapes, and here, this is nicely marked up. If I were to go over here, you know, it looks a little bit crazier. At least there's some nice headlines. But if they weren't there, let's just scoot this down, it gets a little bit crazier, right? So very, very important that you just label things for your teammates. The other thing you could do if you don't want to mark things up is you can actually comment directly on a project. So you can click add comment, drop somewhere and say, what do you think about this? And that will go ahead and live right here. So this is an extremely collaborative way to work. I'll also point out, if you're having a lot of fun and generating, you might want to just pay attention to your credit pool down here in the top left. Depending on your plan, this may be your individual pool and maybe the firm pool. Just make sure that this doesn't run out. If it does, contact your admin or top off on credits. So as you can see here, our video did bake out. I'm gonna switch here and let's go watch this. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that big and look at that. I mean, Dance is incredible. So we went from day to night and it even turned on and off the lights. Like, that's crazy. Look at it. It just like sequentially turns on. That's insane. I mean, that looks gorgeous. And you can go ahead and download that. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful. So this is our overview of xFigura. This covers everything you need to know to get started with this tool. It's extremely easy to use. And just remember, if you're ever confused what any of these inputs are, either click the node or experiment and drag out. And be sure to subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one.